There comes a moment in every life when the silence inside becomes too loud to ignore. A whisper rises within you telling you that you are meant for more, that the life you see is only a fraction of the life you could claim. It is the moment when comfort feels like a cage and the ordinary begins to taste like ashes. You look at your days, your choices, your habits, and you know deep inside you were not born to drift like a leaf carried by the current. You were born to command the river, to bend its flow with the force of your will, to carve a path that bears your name for generations to come. This is the truth that separates the few who rise from the many who sleep. And it begins with a single decision, a decision so powerful that once made, your world can never remain the same. Principle 1. The power of definite purpose. Every man and woman who has risen from obscurity to greatness has done so by fastening their mind upon a single aim. It is not enough to wish, for wishes drift like smoke. It is not enough to hope, for hope fades when trials appear. Only a definite purpose, fixed firmly in the heart, can forge a path through resistance and uncertainty. Think of the leaders who built empires of thought, commerce, or freedom. They began as ordinary souls, yet their vision made them extraordinary. They knew what they wanted, and every act of their lives became a step toward that one consuming aim. Without purpose, your talents scatter, your energy leaks, and your days are consumed by trivial pursuits. But with purpose, even the smallest effort gains weight. Even the quietest moment holds power. Even failure itself bends to your progress. The great error of the drifting masses is not weakness, but aimlessness. They never decide, they never declare, they never fix their eyes upon a definite star. You must be different. You must rise and declare with unwavering voice, "This is my purpose. This is my aim. This is the destiny I will seize." Once a definite purpose takes root in your heart, the ordinary road beneath your feet becomes a highway to destiny. Every conversation, every choice, every trial begins to bend toward that purpose, as if unseen hands were guiding you forward. This is not chance. This is not accident. This is the law of life. The mind that is fixed upon an aim attracts the means to fulfill it. Think of the young scholar who declares he will master his field. Books appear, mentors arrive, opportunities emerge, all because his purpose burns like a beacon. The world respects the man or woman who knows what they want. It may test them, it may resist them, but in the end it yields to their persistence. Contrast this with the drifter, the one who speaks of many dreams yet commits to none. He finds doors closed, paths confusing, and years wasted in circles. Definite purpose is the dividing line between the fulfilled and the forgotten. It is the secret that turns hardship into fuel, failure into lessons, and setbacks into stepping stones. For when your purpose is clear, you no longer see obstacles as barriers, you see them as challenges to be mastered. Principle 1 demands that you write your purpose, speak your purpose, live your purpose until it becomes inseparable from your very identity. The moment you claim a definite purpose, you draw a line in the sand between who you were and who you will become. Life begins to respect you when you respect yourself enough to choose a path with conviction. Too many drift because they fear choosing wrong. Yet in refusing to choose, they condemn themselves to a life of wandering. A man with a clear aim will stumble 1,000 times and still arrive, while the man without aim may walk smoothly and yet never arrive at all. Your purpose need not be grand in the eyes of others. It need only be burning in your own soul. One man may seek to build a great enterprise. Another may seek to raise a family in wisdom and strength. Both, if definite in purpose, are kings in their own domain. Do not confuse size with power. Even the smallest flame, when it refuses to be extinguished, can light 1,000 torches. The essence of greatness is not found in endless ambition, but in unwavering clarity. Write your purpose upon your heart until it beats in rhythm with your every step. For when you move with definite purpose, even the winds of resistance will one day carry you to your destiny. Definite purpose does not wait for perfect conditions, it creates them. The man who demands that the road be smooth before he begins will never leave his doorstep, but the one who begins with fire in his heart finds that even broken roads carry him closer to his destination. Purpose gives birth to courage, for when you know why you fight, the blows of life cannot defeat you. Consider the soldier who stands his ground not because it is easy, but because he knows the cause for which he stands. That same spirit belongs to every man and woman who fixes their eyes on a goal and refuses to look away. The world may laugh, the world may doubt, the world may resist, but in time the world will yield. History remembers those who chose a path and burned their ships so there could be no retreat. They found victory not because the journey was easy, but because their purpose made surrender impossible. This is the first great law of success. Clarity of purpose transforms weakness into strength and uncertainty into destiny. Inspiring purpose is the fire that keeps a man walking when his feet are blistered and his back is bent. Without it, the smallest obstacle becomes a wall. With it, even mountains are moved. Look closely at the lives of the great. They faced storms, betrayals, poverty, and pain, but they pressed on because their aim was fixed. A man with purpose becomes unshakable, for he has already decided that nothing short of destiny will satisfy him. You may lack resources, you may lack favor, you may lack recognition, but if you possess purpose, you already hold the seed of victory. Many wait for the world to crown them before they begin. They do not know that the crown is given only to those who walk with unwavering direction. Definite purpose gives you eyes that see beyond the present struggle into the future reward. It allows you to treat setbacks as lessons, hardships as teachers, and delays as preparation for greatness. The road of purpose is never straight, but it always leads to fulfillment. Fix your heart, fix your aim, and life itself will conspire to make way for you. A man without purpose is like a ship without sails, drifting wherever the current pulls. But the man with a definite aim commands the winds, turning even storms into allies on his voyage. Purpose transforms confusion into order, hesitation into action, and doubt into faith. The moment you decide with finality, you shut the door on distraction and open the gates to destiny. The world cannot ignore a person who knows where they are going and refuses to turn back. Many will question you, some will laugh at you, but in time, those same voices will echo your name with respect. Definite purpose gives birth to discipline, for when the goal is clear, the sacrifice becomes natural. You will rise earlier, work harder, and endure longer, not because you must, but because you choose to. The secret of strength is not found in muscle or might, but in the vision that calls you forward day after day. Fix your purpose like a star in the heavens, and let every step of your life be guided by its light. The power of purpose is that it transforms ordinary hours into bricks of destiny. Each day, each task, no matter how small, becomes part of a larger design when tied to a definite aim. Without purpose, days dissolve into years, and years dissolve into regret. With purpose, even the smallest action holds meaning, and each sunrise is a summons to greatness. The mind, once fixed upon a purpose, begins to summon ideas, strength, and courage it never knew it possessed. It is as if life whispers to the determined, "Here is another way, here is another chance, here is another door." But to the drifting soul, life says nothing, for there is no aim to serve. Resolve today that you will no longer wander, no longer hesitate, no longer surrender your future to chance. The world belongs to those who choose with clarity, not those who wait for permission. Declare your purpose and let that declaration shape every thought, every act, every day that follows. Definite purpose does not whisper politely. It roars like a command from within. It tells you to rise when the world says rest, to continue when others have surrendered, to persist when comfort tempts you to quit. This inner command is the difference between a life of quiet despair and a life that echoes in eternity. The man who drifts becomes a servant to circumstances, but the man with purpose makes circumstances his servant. Every trial bends to the one who refuses to bend his vision. Even defeat cannot conquer him, for he sees in every fall the outline of his final victory. Purpose is the root of faith, for once you decide what must be, you cease to doubt whether it can be. Faith grows where purpose is planted, and action springs where faith is alive. Look into your own heart now and ask, what aim burns so fiercely that it could carry you through the storms of life? Until you answer, your power sleeps, but once you decide, nothing can put it back to rest. A clear purpose acts like a magnet, drawing people, resources, and opportunities into your orbit. Those without purpose wonder why fortune passes them by, never realizing they gave it no signal to follow. The universe does not conspire with the hesitant, it conspires with the decisive. When your mind is fixed, your speech becomes bold, your actions become certain, and others are compelled to believe in you. Even those who oppose you secretly respect the force of your determination, for deep within, every soul recognizes the rare power of one who knows exactly where they are going. This is why leaders rise from the same soil as followers. The difference lies not in their birth, but in their decision. They chose to stand for something when others chose to drift for nothing. And in time, the world made way for their vision, because the world always bends to the will of the purposeful. Fix your aim, and life itself will become your ally. Inspiring purpose is the fire that keeps a man walking when his feet are blistered and his back is bent. Without it, the smallest obstacle becomes a wall. With it, even mountains are moved. Look closely at the lives of the great. They faced storms, betrayals, poverty, and pain, but they pressed on because their aim was fixed. A man with purpose becomes unshakable, for he has already decided that nothing short of destiny will satisfy him. You may lack resources, you may lack favor, you may lack recognition, but if you possess purpose, you already hold the seat of victory. Many wait for the world to crown them before they begin. They do not know that the crown is given only to those who walk with unwavering direction. Definite purpose gives you eyes that see beyond the present struggle into the future reward. It allows you to treat setbacks as lessons, hardships as teachers, and delays as preparation for greatness. The road of purpose is never straight, but it always leads to fulfillment. Fix your heart, fix your aim, and life itself will conspire to make way for you. A man without purpose is like a ship without sails, drifting wherever the current pulls. But the man with a definite aim commands the winds, turning even storms into allies on his voyage. Purpose transforms confusion into order, hesitation into action, and doubt into faith. The moment you decide with finality, you shut the door on distraction and open the gates to destiny. The world cannot ignore a person who knows where they are going and refuses to turn back. Many will question you, some will laugh at you, but in time, those same voices will echo your name with respect. Definite purpose gives birth to discipline, for when the goal is clear, the sacrifice becomes natural. You will rise earlier, work harder, and endure longer, not because you must, but because you choose to. The secret of strength is not found in muscle or might, but in the vision that calls you forward day after day. Fix your purpose like a star in the heavens and let every step of your life be guided by its light. The power of purpose is that it transforms ordinary hours into bricks of destiny. Each day, each task, no matter how small, becomes part of a larger design when tied to a definite aim. Without purpose, days dissolve into years, and years dissolve into regret. With purpose, even the smallest action holds meaning, and each sunrise is a summons to greatness. The mind, once fixed upon a purpose, begins to summon ideas, strength, and courage it never knew it possessed. It is as if life whispers to the determined, "Here is another way, here is another chance, here is another door." But to the drifting soul, life says nothing, for there is no aim to serve. Resolve today that you will no longer wander, no longer hesitate, no longer surrender your future to chance. The world belongs to those who choose with clarity, not those who wait for permission. Declare your purpose and let that declaration shape every thought, every act, every day that follows. Definite purpose does not whisper politely. It roars like a command from within. It tells you to rise when the world says rest, to continue when others have surrendered, to persist when comfort tempts you to quit. This inner command is the difference between a life of quiet despair and a life that echoes in eternity. The man who drifts becomes a servant to circumstances, but the man with purpose makes circumstances his servant. Every trial bends to the one who refuses to bend his vision. Even defeat cannot conquer him, for he sees in every fall the outline of his final victory. Purpose is the root of faith, for once you decide what must be, you cease to doubt whether it can be. Faith grows where purpose is planted, and action springs where faith is alive. Look into your own heart now and ask, what aim burns so fiercely that it could carry you through the storms of life? Until you answer, your power sleeps, but once you decide, nothing can put it back to rest. A clear purpose acts like a magnet, drawing people, resources, and opportunities into your orbit. Those without purpose wonder why fortune passes them by, never realizing they gave it no signal to follow. The universe does not conspire with the hesitant, it conspires with the decisive. When your mind is fixed, your speech becomes bold, your actions become certain, and others are compelled to believe in you. Even those who oppose you secretly respect the force of your determination, for deep within, every soul recognizes the rare power of one who knows exactly where they are going. This is why leaders rise from the same soil as followers. The difference lies not in their birth, but in their decision. They chose to stand for something when others chose to drift for nothing. And in time, the world made way for their vision, because the world always bends to the will of the purposeful. Fix your aim, and life itself will become your ally. Purpose sharpens the mind like a blade, cutting through confusion and doubt. It gives you the strength to say no to what does not serve you and yes to what brings you closer to destiny. Most people waste their days in distractions, but the purposeful soul invests every hour like gold. He understands that time is not to be spent, it is to be directed. Every sunrise becomes a summons, every challenge a stepping stone, every setback a hidden lesson. Without purpose, even victory feels hollow. With purpose, even struggle feels rich. The man with aim endures hardship with pride, for he knows his pain is building his palace. The woman with vision walks through storms smiling, for she sees the rainbow that others cannot. Purpose does not remove struggle, but it redeems it, turning suffering into significance. Fix your eyes on the horizon of your purpose, and let no storm, no voice, no failure turn you aside. Purpose is the anchor that steadies you when the seas of life grow violent. Without it, you are tossed by every wave of opinion, every gust of circumstance. But with it, you stand unshaken, for your eyes remain fixed on the shore you have chosen. The world belongs not to the clever, not to the strong, but to the certain. Certainty is born of purpose, and once it lives in you, no force can uproot it. You may bend, you may stumble, you may fall, but always you rise again, drawn by the magnetic pull of your aim. Drifters blame fate, men of purpose shape it. Drifters wait for opportunity, men of purpose create it. Drifters speak of what they could do, men of purpose act until it is done. Choose this day to be among the few who live by decision, not among the many who die by indecision. A definite purpose acts like a torch in the darkness, revealing the path others cannot see. It gives light to your steps and inspires others to follow in your glow. Those who wander without direction stumble in circles, but those with purpose march steadily toward their destiny. The mind aligned with purpose develops a strange power. It begins to see solutions where others see walls. What looks impossible to the drifting becomes inevitable to the determined. The difference lies not in talent or fortune, but in the courage to declare an aim and refuse to abandon it. You were not created to live aimlessly. You were designed to shape the course of your life with intention. Purpose is proof of that design, the inner command that whispers you are meant for more. Ignore it and life feels empty no matter what you achieve. Obey it and even the smallest progress feels like victory. When a man or woman declares a definite purpose, the whole of life begins to organize around that declaration. The mind summons ideas, the heart summons courage, and circumstances bend to open doors that once seemed locked. To the undecided, this appears like fortune. To the purposeful, it is simply law. Think of the builder who sketches his dream upon paper. Slowly, brick by brick, that dream becomes a structure others can touch. So it is with purpose. What is first invisible within you becomes undeniable before the eyes of the world. Do not despise small beginnings, for every great mountain is climbed one deliberate step at a time. The tragedy of the aimless is that they bury their years in distractions, never planting the seeds of destiny. But the man with purpose sees every day as fertile ground, every action as a seed, every choice as a harvest waiting to come. He understands that time is not his master but his servant when placed in service of his definite aim. Fix your purpose today and tomorrow will bow to it. Definite purpose is the foundation of confidence, for when you know where you are going, doubt loses its grip. Each step forward, no matter how small, feels like progress because it is tied to your chosen aim. The aimless man measures his life in years wasted, but the purposeful man measures his life in victories gained. Even failure bends to serve the one with purpose, for every fall teaches him how to rise stronger. He turns mistakes into mentors and setbacks into stepping stones. This is why fortune smiles upon the resolute. It recognizes in them a partner worthy of reward. Without a clear purpose, effort scatters like sand through open hands. With purpose, every ounce of energy strikes like a hammer shaping destiny. You are not meant to drift endlessly. You are meant to strike, to shape, to create. Fix your mind on a definite purpose and let every day of your life testify to that decision. Purpose is the compass that turns wandering steps into a march of destiny. It transforms hesitation into decision, weakness into strength, and doubt into faith. A man without aim lives as a shadow, but a man with aim becomes a light that others cannot ignore. The difference between mediocrity and greatness is not found in talent, but in the clarity of direction. One person with purpose will accomplish more in a year than a drifter will in a lifetime. For the drifter squanders energy chasing everything, while the purposeful invests energy pursuing one thing. That investment compounds, building momentum until it becomes unstoppable. Fortune favors not the restless dreamer, but the relentless doer who anchors his dreams in definite purpose. Look into history and you will see every name etched in memory was carried by the power of a single burning aim. To live without purpose is to live half alive. To live with it is to command life itself. Principle 2. Mastery of self-discipline. Definite purpose gives you direction, but self-discipline gives you the strength to stay on that path. Without discipline, purpose becomes a dream that fades with the morning sun. Discipline is the bridge between thought and action, between intention and achievement. It is the daily choice to govern yourself rather than be governed by impulse, distraction, or weakness. The undisciplined soul may have vision, but he lacks the power to bring it to life. Discipline is the habit of saying yes to destiny and no to destruction. It is found in the quiet victories of resisting temptation, of rising early, of finishing what was begun. These victories seem small to the world, yet they are the very bricks of greatness. For the man who cannot command himself can command nothing else. Every empire first begins with the empire of one, the mastery of self. Think of the warrior who sharpens his blade each day. The blade is not sharpened in battle, but in preparation for it. So too must you sharpen your character with discipline long before destiny calls upon you. When others sleep, the disciplined rise. When others waste, the disciplined invest. When others surrender, the disciplined endure. And in the end, it is this endurance, born of discipline, that separates the conqueror from the conquered. Discipline is not punishment, it is liberation. It frees you from the chains of laziness, from the weight of regret, from the slavery of impulse. The man who is slave to himself can never be free. The man who masters himself can never be enslaved. The world bows to the disciplined, for discipline creates consistency, and consistency creates power. Discipline is the art of keeping promises to yourself even when no one is watching. It is the quiet strength that holds you steady when emotion pulls you in 1,000 directions. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack the will to govern their own habits. Habits are the invisible chains of destiny. Discipline forges them strong or leaves them broken. The disciplined choose their habits as carefully as a craftsman chooses his tools. Each choice may seem small, but together they carve the shape of a lifetime. Without discipline, your hours slip into waste, your energy leaks into weakness, your dreams dissolve into regret. With discipline, every hour becomes an investment, every action a deposit, every day a step toward mastery. This is why fortune favors the disciplined. They align their behavior with their vision until the two are inseparable. Discipline is destiny written in daily decisions. Discipline is the guardrail that keeps you steady on the road of purpose. Without it, even the clearest aim will be lost in the fog of distraction. Great men are not remembered for what they intended, but for what they completed. Completion requires discipline, the will to finish when enthusiasm has faded. Anyone can begin. Only the disciplined can endure to the end. This is why discipline is the true test of desire, separating the dreamers from the doers. Talent without discipline is like a sword left to rust. It promises much but delivers little. Discipline polishes talent until it gleams with brilliance. The world honors not those who wish to be great, but those who discipline themselves into greatness. Govern yourself, or the world will govern you. Discipline is the hand that steadies the plow when the soil is hard and the sun is merciless. It keeps you moving when passion has cooled and the road feels endless. Many begin with fire in their hearts, yet only the disciplined finish with crowns upon their heads. Greatness is not a single act of brilliance, but the repetition of right actions over time. Day by day, choice by choice, discipline lays the foundation for triumph. The undisciplined chase comfort and lose themselves in distraction, while the disciplined endure discomfort and find themselves in destiny. Every moment of self-control strengthens the fortress of your character, and once built, that fortress becomes unshakable, no matter how fierce the storms outside. Discipline is not glamorous in the moment, but it is glorious in the outcome. For the crown of success rests only on the head of the disciplined. Discipline is the foundation upon which freedom is built. The man who controls himself cannot be controlled by circumstance. This is the paradox of discipline. By binding yourself to order, you release yourself from chaos. The undisciplined are slaves to appetite, to distraction, to weakness. But the disciplined rise above such chains, walking as masters of their own fate. They may not always feel strong, yet their decisions build strength daily. For discipline is not about how you feel in a moment, it is about what you choose in spite of feeling. Each act of self-control is a seed of greatness planted deep within the soil of character. Water it with consistency, and in time it grows into a tree whose branches shelter your future. Without discipline, even the brightest vision withers before it bears fruit. Discipline is the great equalizer, the force that allows the ordinary to achieve the extraordinary. A man of average talent with iron discipline will surpass a genius who squanders his gifts, for genius without discipline is a ship with sails but no rudder, doomed to drift and decay. Discipline is the rudder. It directs talent, passion, and energy toward a chosen destiny. Each time you choose discipline over ease, you reinforce the foundation of your future. Each time you surrender to weakness, you rob yourself of the life you might have lived. This is why the masters of every field revere discipline above brilliance. It is the one virtue that sustains all others. It is the parent of persistence, the guardian of progress, the maker of men. Those who laugh at discipline in youth often weep for its absence in age. Do not be among them. Embrace discipline now and let it carry you to triumph. Discipline is the unseen architect of success, drafting each day into the blueprint of destiny. It takes scattered hours and aligns them into pillars strong enough to hold the weight of greatness. Without it, life becomes a house of cards, easily built, easily collapsed, easily forgotten. With it, life becomes a fortress, unshaken by winds, unmoved by storms, unbroken by time. Every victory of discipline strengthens your walls. Every lapse weakens them. Think of the man who yields to every craving. He is ruled not by himself, but by his appetite. But the man of discipline governs his desires, and in doing so becomes king over himself. True freedom is not doing whatever you wish. It is having the power to govern your wishes. Only then can you act with clarity, free from the chains of impulse. Master discipline, and you will no longer chase success. Success will chase you. Discipline is the hammer that forges character upon the anvil of daily choices. Each strike may feel small, yet together they shape the steel of greatness. Great men are not born in moments of glory, but in moments of restraint and perseverance. The temptation to quit visits every soul, but the disciplined refuse its invitation. They keep their eyes fixed upon destiny, knowing that storms are temporary, but purpose is eternal. This endurance is what sets them apart from the countless who surrendered. The disciplined man becomes trustworthy, for his word is bound by his self-control. Others lean on him, knowing he will not crumble when tested. And because he governs himself, life entrusts him with greater power. Authority belongs to those who first win authority over their own impulses. Discipline is the steady hand that holds the course when emotions rise like storms. It keeps you moving forward when excitement fades and only commitment remains. Most men quit when the feeling of passion disappears, but the disciplined march on until passion is rekindled by progress. This is why discipline outlives motivation. It is the root, not the flower. A disciplined spirit becomes unstoppable, for nothing external can dictate its course. Success is not built in grand gestures, but in the quiet repetition of disciplined acts. Rise early, stay focused, finish strong. These are the stones upon which empires are built. The world crowns those who govern themselves, for they prove worthy to govern greater things. Discipline is not glamorous, but its results are glorious. Master discipline, and you master life itself. Discipline is the silent partner of every triumph history remembers. It is the unseen hand behind inventions, revolutions, and victories. Without it, even the brightest purpose collapses under the weight of inconsistency. But with it, even the smallest purpose grows into a legacy that endures beyond a lifetime. Discipline sharpens vision, protects purpose, and multiplies progress. Those who neglect it fade into regret, while those who embrace it rise into greatness. Let this be engraved upon your mind. No man is free until he masters himself. Self-discipline is the path to power, to freedom, to destiny. With it you are unstoppable. Without it you are undone. Therefore, take command of yourself, for in doing so you take command of your future. Principle 3, the power of initiative and action. Purpose and discipline are mighty, but they remain lifeless without the spark of action. Many men plan, many men dream, many men speak, but few rise to act, and it is only action that creates reality. Initiative is the courage to step forward when others hesitate, to begin before conditions seem perfect. It is the difference between the thinker and the doer, between the spectator and the creator. History does not remember the intentions of men, only the actions they took. To know your purpose and to govern yourself with discipline is powerful, but unless you act, your greatness remains buried. Initiative is the shovel that digs potential out of the soil of thought and plants it in the field of reality. Without action, the richest ideas rot within the mind, unharvested and unseen. The world yields not to the man who waits, but to the man who dares to move. Initiative is the spark that ignites the fire of progress. The disciplined man who knows his purpose but fails to act is like a warrior who sharpens his sword but never enters battle. The world is filled with people who wait, who hesitate, who postpone their destiny until tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes for the man who fears to begin today. Action breaks the chains of hesitation and turns vision into movement. Even imperfect action carries more power than the most polished plan left undone. The man who acts, learns, adapts, improves, while the man who waits remains stagnant. Every step, however small, carries you closer to the summit others only imagine. Inaction robs the spirit of strength, but action builds it with every attempt. The habit of action is the foundation upon which all success stands. Initiative is the voice within that whispers, "Begin now," while the crowd murmurs, "Wait a little longer." It is the refusal to be paralyzed by fear or drowned in overthinking. Most opportunities do not vanish because they are impossible. They vanish because men hesitate. The decisive soul understands that fortune greets the bold, not the idle. Action sharpens vision. Each step forward reveals paths invisible to the still. 1,000 books cannot teach what a single act will reveal. The man who dares to act may stumble, but even his stumbles carry him further than the one who never moves. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of fear through movement. To wait for perfect timing is to wait forever, for perfection belongs only to action itself. The man of initiative writes his story while others merely read about him. Action is the cure for doubt, for every step forward replaces questions with answers. The man who acts discovers strength he did not know he had. While the idle wonder if they are capable, the doer proves his capability by doing. Hesitation drains energy, but action creates momentum. Each decision to move builds confidence, and confidence fuels the next decision. Momentum is the reward of initiative, a force that multiplies your efforts and carries you further than you thought possible. Without action, even the greatest plans remain powerless, like seeds locked away in a jar, but once planted through action, they grow into forests that change the landscape of life. Do not despise small beginnings, for every mighty oak was once a seed that dared to sprout. Take initiative, for the first step is the step that makes all others possible. Initiative transforms intention into reality, separating dreamers from achievers. The man of action builds while others talk about building. Words without deeds are empty echoes that fade quickly in the wind. The world rewards those who step forward, not those who merely step aside. Action creates influence, for people are drawn to those who move with boldness. Even those who oppose the man of action cannot ignore him. In every generation, progress belongs to the few who dared to begin when others doubted. The bold are remembered, while the hesitant vanish without trace. Action leaves footprints in the sands of time, while hesitation is washed away by the tide. Therefore, resolve this truth. Greatness belongs to those who act. Initiative is the habit of moving forward without waiting for permission. The man who waits to be told what to do will always serve the one who had the courage to begin. Leaders are not chosen by chance. They are revealed by their willingness to act first. Action speaks a language that words cannot match. It commands attention, builds trust, and proves conviction. Even a flawed action carries more weight than perfect inaction. To refuse to act is to surrender your destiny to hesitation. To act boldly is to claim your place among the creators of history. The man of initiative learns from failure, while the man of hesitation learns nothing at all. Progress has never bowed to hesitation. It has always yielded to action. Action is the hand that shapes destiny, molding raw possibility into solid reality. Every invention, every discovery, every achievement began with one person who dared to take the first step. The hesitant admire progress from a distance, but the bold create it with their own hands. Fear whispers that you are not ready, but initiative answers, I will begin, and readiness will come. The act of moving forward creates the strength to keep moving. Like a wheel, momentum begins with one push and then rolls with increasing power. This is why the man of action often appears favored by fortune. He earns fortune through movement. Opportunities reveal themselves only to those who have already taken steps toward them. A closed door will not open to the man who merely stares, but it may yield to the one who knocks. Take initiative, for in movement lies the miracle of progress. Initiative is the fire that turns potential energy into kinetic force. Dreams are the fuel, but action is the spark that sets them ablaze. Many die with their dreams still locked inside them, not because they lacked purpose, but because they lacked movement. To think without acting is to live half a life. The man who acts boldly lives twice, once in vision and once in reality. Even the failures of the man of initiative shine brighter than the wasted years of the idle. A failed attempt carries honor, but an unlived dream carries regret. Each act of initiative proclaims to the world, I will not sit still while destiny waits. The hesitant asks, what if I fall? The man of action asks, what if I fly? History belongs to those who ask the bolder question. Initiative separates those who watch history from those who write it. The man who acts shapes the future, while the man who waits is shaped by it. Opportunity does not announce itself with fanfare. It appears quietly to those already moving. If you are waiting for a sign, let this truth be enough. Movement itself is the sign. Begin where you stand with what you have, and let action open the next door. The journey of initiative is not about knowing every step, but about daring to take the first one. Doubt vanishes in the presence of action, for experience teaches what theory cannot. The world respects the one who does more than he says. Words inspire, but action transforms. Do not delay, for delay is the silent thief of destiny. Initiative is the habit of turning intentions into immediate deeds. The smallest step forward carries more weight than the grandest plan left undone. Action teaches lessons that books cannot and reveals strengths that rest cannot awaken. The man who acts gains wisdom through experience, while the man who hesitates gains nothing but regret. Each day that you move boldly, you train destiny to favor you. Each day you delay, you teach destiny to forget you. Action transforms fear into courage, uncertainty into clarity, and hesitation into habit. Those who begin may stumble, but those who never begin are already defeated. Initiative is not about knowing it all. It is about daring to learn as you go. Move forward, for the act of moving awakens the path itself. Initiative is the engine of all achievement, the proof of courage, the birth of greatness. It is the bridge between thought and destiny, carrying you from what could be to what must be. Without initiative, dreams remain shadows. With it, they take flesh and walk among men. Do not wait for certainty is born only through action. Begin boldly, continue firmly, and finish strongly. That is the way of the man of initiative. The hesitant will one day envy the bold, for action creates a legacy that hesitation cannot touch. Therefore fix this truth in your mind. Fortune bows to movement, not to waiting. Let every day carry the stamp of action, and every hour bear the mark of boldness. For in the end, history honors not those who dreamed the most, but those who dared the most. This is the power of initiative and action, the law that transforms vision into victory. Principle 4, the mastery of faith and belief. Purpose gives direction. Discipline gives strength. Initiative gives movement. But faith gives power. Without faith, every effort trembles under the weight of doubt. With it, even the impossible becomes inevitable. Faith is the inner conviction that your purpose will prevail even when no evidence yet exists. It is the force that drives men to climb mountains others call unconquerable. Faith is not blind. It sees a reality before it is born and walks as though it were already here. The man without faith is paralyzed by fear. The man with faith turns fear into fuel. Faith whispers, go on, when reason says, turn back. It is the voice of destiny within, reminding you that you were not made to surrender. Master faith, and you master the very energy that moves the universe. Faith is the architect of hope, designing the future in the mind before it is built in the world. It gives courage to take steps when the ground ahead cannot yet be seen. Doubt waits for proof, but faith moves first and gathers proof along the way. Every great invention, every bold enterprise, every act of progress began with faith in an unseen outcome. The man of faith looks at obstacles and sees opportunities disguised. He interprets resistance as confirmation that he is on the right path. Faith turns adversity into advantage, for it believes that all things can be used for growth. It is the power behind persistence, the flame that keeps the weary walking. Without faith, the strong grow weak. With faith, the weak grow strong. Therefore, guard your faith as your greatest treasure, for it is the seed of every victory. Faith is the lens that changes how you see the world. To the faithless, every challenge looks like a wall. To the faithful, every wall hides a doorway. Life does not remove hardship for the man of faith, but it gives him the strength to walk through it. Faith is not passive. It is an active force, a choice to trust in what cannot yet be seen. It pushes the weary to take one more step, to fight one more hour, to believe one more day. Many surrender too soon, not because their dream was impossible, but because their faith was too small. The size of your results will always match the size of your belief. Believe greatly, and you will achieve greatly. Believe little, and you will live little. Faith enlarges your vision, stretches your courage, and strengthens your will. It is the invisible hand that lifts you when the world tries to drag you down. Faith is the seed from which persistence grows. A man continues to strive because he believes that his labor will one day bear fruit. Without belief, effort collapses under discouragement, but with it, effort multiplies until success arrives. Faith strengthens the hands of the worker and steadies the heart of the leader. It fuels courage in battle, vision in business, and hope in hardship. Men who achieve greatness are not free from doubt. They simply let faith shout louder than fear. Fear says, "You cannot," but faith replies, "You must." Fear points to risk, but faith points to reward. Fear ends dreams before they start, but faith gives them wings to fly. Master faith, and no obstacle will ever stand unchallenged before you. Faith is the power that transforms vision into certainty. It allows you to act as though success is inevitable, even when failure surrounds you. This confidence attracts allies, inspires followers, and unsettles enemies. Men of faith radiate conviction, and conviction is magnetic. Others are drawn to their certainty, for deep down every soul longs for assurance. Faith is contagious. When you believe without wavering, you give others permission to believe as well. The leader without faith cannot lead, for no one will follow a doubter. But the leader with faith can move nations, for his belief ignites the hearts of men. History's greatest revolutions began not with armies, but with belief. Faith is the true weapon of transformation, sharper than any sword, stronger than any wall. Faith is the bridge between where you stand and where you long to be. It allows you to walk over uncertainty as though it were solid ground. Those who wait for certainty never cross, but those with faith arrive on the other side. Faith is not the denial of difficulty. It is the decision to rise above it. It whispers of possibility when the world shouts of limits. Many have fallen not because they lacked strength, but because they lacked belief in their strength. Belief unlocks hidden reservoirs of energy and creativity. It lifts the ordinary into extraordinary achievement. With faith, the impossible becomes a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block. Without it, even the simplest task feels like a mountain too high to climb. Faith is the courage to take the next step when you cannot see the entire path. It assures you that light will appear as you move forward into the unknown. Many wait for clarity before beginning. But clarity is born of faith-filled steps. Faith transforms hesitation into momentum and uncertainty into opportunity. The man of faith begins where he stands, and the ground rises to meet his stride. He discovers that doors open for the moving hand, not for the idle dreamer. Every victory of faith begins with a decision to trust more in possibility than in fear. This trust breeds confidence, and confidence invites achievement. Even when results are delayed, faith sustains the spirit with hope, for hope is the child of faith, and both are parents of success. Faith is the unseen engine that drives a man to rise after every fall. It whispers that defeat is not final, but only a lesson dressed in hardship. Without faith, failure feels like the end. With it, failure becomes the beginning of wisdom. Faith gives birth to resilience, the power to bend without breaking. It strengthens the heart to endure trials and to believe in triumph beyond them. Many who succeeded were no stronger than those who quit. They simply believed one step further. Faith stretches vision beyond present struggles into future glory. It lifts your eyes from the dust of today to the crown of tomorrow. This upward gaze fuels persistence, for no obstacle can eclipse a vision seen by faith. Where faith dwells, defeat cannot remain. Faith is the soil in which vision takes root and blossoms into destiny. Without it, even the richest seeds of purpose remain dormant in the ground. Faith waters them daily, believing in the unseen harvest until it appears. The man of faith works not only with his hands, but with his heart, convinced of the outcome long before it arrives. This inner assurance gives him energy when others grow weary. He sees progress in places others see only delay, because faith trains the eye to notice growth others overlook. Faith is a shield in the day of doubt and a torch in the night of despair. It keeps the spirit alive when circumstances try to smother it. Faith does not deny the storm, it believes in the sunrise beyond it. And because he believes, the man of faith always rises stronger than before. Faith is the anchor that keeps you steady when waves of uncertainty crash against you. It roots you in conviction, reminding you that storms are temporary, but truth endures. The doubter is tossed like a leaf in the wind, but the believer stands like a tree beside the river. Faith makes you unshakable, for it builds strength not on circumstance, but on conviction. The man of faith sees the invisible, believes the incredible, and achieves the impossible. His confidence is not arrogance, but assurance born of belief. Faith is not the absence of struggle, but the refusal to let struggle define the end. Each setback becomes a setup for a greater return when filtered through faith. This is why the faithful rise higher after every fall, for nothing can hold down the man who truly believes. Faith is the crown of all virtues, the force that sustains purpose, discipline, and action. It is the breath of the soul, the light of the mind, the strength of the will. Without it, dreams starve. With it, even the smallest dream grows into greatness. Believe in your purpose. Believe in your power. Believe in the destiny that calls your name. Faith makes giants of ordinary men and legends of forgotten ones. It is the unseen companion that walks beside you in silence, but speaks loudly in victory. Therefore, guard your belief as you guard your life. Nurture it daily, feed it with vision, and defend it against doubt. For faith is not just a feeling, it is the foundation of all achievement. This is the mastery of faith and belief, to walk boldly into the unseen and make it seen. Principle 5, the mastery of persistence. Purpose sets the destination. Discipline keeps you on the path. Initiative starts the journey, and faith sustains you, but persistence ensures you arrive. Many begin the climb, but only the persistent reach the summit. Persistence is the will to keep moving when strength is gone and hope is faint. It is the refusal to accept defeat, the choice to rise again when the world expects you to stay down. The history of progress is the history of persistence, ordinary men refusing to quit until extraordinary results appeared. Every invention, every discovery, every triumph is a monument built upon persistence. Talent may start the race, but persistence finishes it. The man who refuses to stop cannot truly be defeated, for in the end, persistence outlasts resistance. Persistence is the fire that keeps burning when every wind tries to blow it out. It is the quiet determination to continue when the applause has faded and the road feels endless. Most men quit not because they lack ability, but because they surrender too soon. The persistent understand that delay is not denial and failure is not final. They see each setback as preparation, each obstacle as training, each delay as hidden timing. What breaks the weak builds the strong when met with persistence. Persistence is not glamorous, but it is glorious in its results. The world may doubt you, but persistence transforms doubt into admiration. Those who once mocked the struggler later praise the victor who refused to quit. For persistence writes the final chapter that talent alone cannot. Persistence is the armor that protects your purpose against the arrows of discouragement. It gives you the strength to rise after every fall, to push after every rejection, to endure after every loss. Most men are stopped not by failure, but by the belief that failure is final. The persistent know that every fall is temporary and every setback is a step closer to success. They carry within them a conviction that no obstacle is stronger than their will to continue. Persistence turns defeat into delay and delay into destiny. Without persistence, discipline weakens, faith falters, and initiative fades. With persistence, all these forces grow stronger with each trial. Persistence deepens character, for it proves that your dream is worth suffering for. And when a dream is worth suffering for, no power on earth can destroy it. Persistence is the difference between the dreamer and the achiever. The dreamer stops at the first sign of resistance, but the achiever uses resistance to build strength. Every difficulty carries within it the chance to prove your endurance. The world has never crowned the quitter, but it has bowed to the one who refused to quit. Persistence is the slow hammer that shapes stone into statues and mountains into roads. The impatient demand quick victory, but the persistent know that time itself can be conquered with patience. To persist is to declare war against weakness and surrender. Each day you persist, you proclaim to the world, I cannot be broken. Even if progress is slow, persistence guarantees that progress never stops. And where progress continues, victory is inevitable. Persistence is the test that separates those who wish from those who will. Wishes fade in the heat of trial, but willpower grows stronger under pressure. Every challenge you endure adds weight to your character and depth to your spirit. Quitting is easy, but persistence builds the kind of strength that nothing can destroy. The persistent man carries within him a power greater than circumstance, greater than opposition, greater than fear. He may bend under the storm, but he will never break. Persistence is the song of the soul that says, I will not surrender. It is the unseen force that keeps you walking when the night is darkest. Even when hope flickers, persistence keeps the flame alive. For he who persists discovers that no night lasts forever. Persistence is the invisible hand that guides you through seasons of drought until harvest comes. It teaches you that delay is not defeat but preparation. Every season of waiting builds patience. Every trial of endurance strengthens resolve. The quitter walks away just before the door opens, but the persistent man walks through it. Success often comes one step beyond the point where most give up. That single extra step is the proof of persistence. The mountain does not fall to one strike of the hammer, but to 1,000 persistent blows. Each strike may seem small, but together they shatter stone. So too do your persistent efforts. Unnoticed at first, eventually break the walls that stand before you. Persistence guarantees that the end belongs to you. Persistence is the armor of champions forged in the fire of countless trials. It makes you unstoppable, for no setback can end a man who refuses to stop. The quitter sees obstacles as walls. The persistent sees them as hurdles to be leapt over. Persistence transforms defeat into a stepping stone and rejection into redirection. Every no you face is fuel for the yes that persistence will one day win. Great victories are rarely won quickly. They belong to those willing to endure the long road. Persistence keeps you steady when excitement fades and only duty remains. It teaches you that progress is not measured in speed but in consistency. A slow march forward still outruns a man who stands still. The crown of success rests on the head of persistence. Persistence is the fire that keeps burning when every wind tries to blow it out. It is the quiet determination to continue when the applause has faded and the road feels endless. Most men quit not because they lack ability, but because they surrender too soon. The persistent understand that delay is not denial and failure is not final. They see each setback as preparation, each obstacle as training, each delay as hidden timing. What breaks the weak builds the strong when met with persistence. Persistence is not glamorous, but it is glorious in its results. The world may doubt you, but persistence transforms doubt into admiration. Those who once mocked the struggler later praise the victor who refused to quit. For persistence writes the final chapter that talent alone cannot. Persistence is the armor that protects your purpose against the arrows of discouragement. It gives you the strength to rise after every fall, to push after every rejection, to endure after every loss. Most men are stopped not by failure, but by the belief that failure is final. The persistent know that every fall is temporary and every setback is a step closer to success. They carry within them a conviction that no obstacle is stronger than their will to continue. Persistence turns defeat into delay, and delay into destiny. Without persistence, discipline weakens, faith falters, and initiative fades. With persistence, all these forces grow stronger with each trial. Persistence deepens character, for it proves that your dream is worth suffering for. And when a dream is worth suffering for, no power on earth can destroy it. Persistence is the difference between the dreamer and the achiever. The dreamer stops at the first sign of resistance, but the achiever uses resistance to build strength. Every difficulty carries within it the chance to prove your endurance. The world has never crowned the quitter, but it has bowed to the one who refused to quit. Persistence is the slow hammer that shapes stone into statues and mountains into roads. The impatient demand quick victory, but the persistent know that time itself can be conquered with patience. To persist is to declare war against weakness and surrender. Each day you persist, you proclaim to the world, I cannot be broken. Even if progress is slow, persistence guarantees that progress never stops. And where progress continues, victory is inevitable. Persistence is the test that separates those who wish from those who will. Wishes fade in the heat of trial, but willpower grows stronger under pressure. Every challenge you endure adds weight to your character and depth to your spirit. Quitting is easy, but persistence builds the kind of strength that nothing can destroy. The persistent man carries within him a power greater than circumstance, greater than opposition, greater than fear. He may bend under the storm, but he will never break. Persistence is the song of the soul that says, I will not surrender. It is the unseen force that keeps you walking when the night is darkest. Even when hope flickers, persistence keeps the flame alive. For he who persists discovers that no night lasts forever. Persistence is the invisible hand that guides you through seasons of drought until harvest comes. It teaches you that delay is not defeat but preparation. Every season of waiting builds patience. Every trial of endurance strengthens resolve. The quitter walks away just before the door opens, but the persistent man walks through it. Success often comes one step beyond the point where most give up. That single extra step is the proof of persistence. The mountain does not fall to one strike of the hammer, but to 1,000 persistent blows. Each strike may seem small, but together they shatter stone. So too do your persistent efforts. Unnoticed at first, eventually break the walls that stand before you. Persistence guarantees that the end belongs to you. Persistence is the armor of champions forged in the fire of countless trials. It makes you unstoppable, for no setback can end a man who refuses to stop. The quitter sees obstacles as walls. The persistent sees them as hurdles to be leapt over. Persistence transforms defeat into a stepping stone and rejection into redirection. Every no you face is fuel for the yes that persistence will one day win. Great victories are rarely won quickly. They belong to those willing to endure the long road. Persistence keeps you steady when excitement fades and only duty remains. It teaches you that progress is not measured in speed but in consistency. A slow march forward still outruns a man who stands still. The crown of success rests on the head of persistence. Persistence is the heartbeat of achievement, steady and unyielding. It carries you forward when motivation fades and energy is gone. The man who persists finds strength in places the quitter will never know. Persistence is not about never falling, but about never failing to rise. Every rise builds character. Every rise builds confidence. Every rise brings you closer to triumph. Those who quit never discover how close they were to victory. The persistent walk through pain with their eyes fixed on the prize. They do not measure themselves by today's struggle, but by tomorrow's reward. They see beyond the hardship of the moment into the harvest of the future. This vision gives them the courage to take one more step again and again. Persistence is the shield that protects your dream from the arrows of doubt. It is the courage to say, I will try again when others say it is over. The world often crowns the one who held on just a little longer than the rest. Persistence is patient, understanding that time is a servant to the steadfast. It transforms waiting into preparation and obstacles into opportunities. To persist is to declare that your vision is greater than your pain. Persistence does not ignore difficulty, but it refuses to bow to it. Each day you persist, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than circumstance. The quitter lives in regret, but the persistent live in reward. For persistence guarantees that the story ends in victory. Persistence is the grindstone that sharpens vision into achievement. Each repetition, each effort, each step forward carves away weakness and polishes strength. Greatness is not found in a single burst of effort, but in sustained commitment through seasons of struggle. The persistent know that even slow progress is progress still. They understand that the finish line belongs not to the swiftest, but to the most steadfast. Every day of endurance becomes a brick in the monument of success. Persistence is the quiet oath that says, I will not stop until I win. and those who make this oath find that life eventually bows to their will, for nothing can permanently resist a spirit that refuses to quit. Persistence is the law of inevitability. If you refuse to stop, you cannot be stopped. Persistence is the crown of all virtues, for it sustains every other principle until victory is won. Purpose begins the journey, discipline strengthens it, initiative starts it, faith empowers it, but persistence completes it. Without persistence, every other quality fades before the finish line. The man who persists cannot be defeated, for every setback only delays, never denies him. His name is remembered not because he never struggled, but because he never surrendered. The legacy of persistence is written in the lives of those who endure. Let this be engraved in your heart. Persistence makes the impossible bow to the inevitable. Stand firm, press on, endure all things, and the crown will be yours. For the world cannot deny the one who refuses to be denied. This is the mastery of persistence, the power that ensures every destiny is fulfilled. Principle 6. The mastery of decision. Life bends in favor of the decisive, but it breaks the hesitant. Every man is faced with crossroads, yet only those who decide with courage shape their own destiny. Indecision is the thief of opportunity, robbing men of time, energy, and progress. Decision, even if imperfect, carries power. Hesitation, even if cautious, carries weakness. The greatest mistakes are not in wrong choices, but in refusing to choose at all. Every great leader, every great builder, every great thinker was first a great decision maker. They did not wait for certainty, they created certainty through commitment. The undecided man drifts like a leaf in the wind, but the decisive man steers like a captain through the storm. To decide is to declare to life, I will not be carried, I will command. Decision is the blade that cuts through confusion and forges clarity. It transforms uncertainty into action and action into results. The undecided man spends his life waiting for signs, while the decisive man becomes the sign others follow. Indecision wastes years in hesitation, but one bold decision can change a lifetime. Great fortunes, great nations, and great victories were born from single moments of decision. To delay is to decay, for time will not wait for the hesitant. The man who decides quickly and firmly commands respect, for certainty carries authority. Even if the path must be adjusted, the first step creates momentum that hesitation never will. A wrong decision can be corrected, but no decision leaves nothing to correct. Better to face storms with a choice than to drift aimlessly with none. Decision is the spark that ignites courage, for once the choice is made, fear begins to lose its grip. The boldness of choice transforms weakness into action and hesitation into strength. Many men live half lives because they never chose fully. They hovered between paths until time chose for them. Life respects the man who declares his direction and walks in it with conviction. Even heaven and earth seem to align with the one who has chosen boldly. To hesitate is to invite regret, but to decide is to invite growth. The decisive man may stumble, but his stumbles still carry him forward. Every choice becomes a lesson, every lesson becomes wisdom, and every wisdom becomes strength. The undecided man gains nothing, for he neither learns from action nor grows from movement. Decision is the hand that lifts vision out of thought and places it into reality. Decision is the foundation of progress, for nothing begins until a choice is made. The act of deciding creates momentum, and momentum creates opportunity. The man who delays until certainty arrives will never leave his doorstep. Certainty is born from decision, not the other way around. Every pioneer, every leader, every creator stepped into the unknown with a firm choice to act. Their decision gave birth to the very clarity they sought. Indecision drains the spirit, leaving the soul restless and weak. But decision energizes, for it commits the heart and mind to a definite path. The undecided man is always tired, for his energy is scattered. The decisive man is strong, for his energy is focused. Decision gathers the fragments of will into a single unstoppable force. Decision is the mark of leadership, for people follow the one who dares to choose. A firm decision gives direction to many who wander in uncertainty. The undecided man not only loses himself, he weakens all who depend on him. To decide is to give strength, to inspire confidence, to create momentum for others. One decisive voice can rally an army, rebuild a city, or ignite a revolution. The world changes not by chance, but by the choices of the bold. Decision does not wait for permission. It declares its own authority. Each decision you make shapes the destiny you will meet. Life itself is nothing more than the sum of the decisions you dared to make. To live without decision is to live without power. Decision is the great divider between mediocrity and greatness. The mediocre wait to see what happens. The great decide what will happen. Fate is not written by chance. It is written by the decisions of men who dare. Each decision is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life. Small choices paint the background, and great choices define the masterpiece. To ignore the power of decision is to surrender your canvas to others. Indecision is the silent agreement to let life be painted by someone else's hand. But the decisive take hold of the brush and declare their vision boldly. Their lives shine with clarity, even if the strokes are not perfect. For in the act of choosing, they create a life that is truly theirs. Decision sharpens the will like a blade, cutting through doubt and hesitation. The moment you decide, your energy aligns, your focus clears, and your spirit ignites. Many waste their lives circling choices, but the bold step forward and create momentum. Even a flawed decision carries more value than endless hesitation. For mistakes can be corrected, but wasted time is gone forever. The power of decision is not in its perfection, but in its direction. A man who chooses learns. A man who refuses to choose stagnates. Growth comes from movement, and movement begins with decision. The habit of decision builds courage, and courage builds destiny. Every act of greatness begins with a man who finally said, "I will." Decision is the root of confidence, for the man who chooses boldly begins to trust himself. Each choice made with conviction strengthens the voice within that says, "I can." Indecision weakens the heart, leaving a man at the mercy of circumstance. The decisive man does not wait for conditions to be perfect. He makes them perfect through choice. Life bends to the will of one who knows where he is going. The undecided man is blown by every wind, but the decisive man becomes the wind itself. Decision creates identity, for each choice defines who you are becoming. With every firm choice, you sculpt the character of a conqueror. Without decision, life remains a blur. With it, life becomes a portrait of clarity. The mastery of decision is the mastery of destiny. Decision is the anchor in the storm, keeping a man steady when waves of uncertainty crash against him. The decisive stand firm while the hesitant are swept away. Every storm eventually clears, but only those who held their course reach the shore. Indecision multiplies fear, but decision silences it with direction. The moment you decide, fear loses its grip and courage takes its place. Even if the outcome is unclear, the strength of decision creates clarity as you move. Life honors those who choose boldly, for choice itself is power. The road may twist, but a firm decision ensures you never stop walking. The quitter blames circumstance, but the decisive shape circumstance with their will. To decide is to claim authorship of your own story. Decision is the thunder that awakens action and the lightning that clears the sky of hesitation. It electrifies the spirit, giving strength to move mountains that once seemed immovable. Men waste years searching for certainty, yet one firm choice can change everything in a single moment. To decide is to step out of waiting and into creating. Each bold choice shapes destiny and leaves an imprint on history. Greatness belongs not to the cautious observer, but to the courageous decider. Even wrong choices carve wisdom into the soul, while indecision carves only regret. Decision is the secret to momentum, and momentum is the road to mastery. With every choice, you either surrender your power or seize it. Therefore, decide boldly, for indecision is the only true failure. Decision is the crown of mastery, the moment where thought becomes destiny. Purpose, discipline, initiative, faith, and persistence find their strength in the power of choice. Without decision, they remain potential. With decision, they become power. The man who decides commands life, while the man who hesitates is commanded by it. Choose with courage, act with conviction, and adjust with wisdom. Your future is nothing more than the harvest of the decisions you dare to make today. Do not leave your destiny in the hands of chance or the will of others. Stand boldly, decide firmly, and live fully. For history remembers the man who chose, not the one who waited. This is the mastery of decision, the force that shapes all greatness. Principle 7, the mastery of controlled imagination. Every achievement begins as a picture in the mind before it becomes a reality in the world. Imagination is the workshop of the soul, where visions are forged and destinies are designed. The uncontrolled imagination drifts into fantasy, but the controlled imagination creates power. To envision clearly is to summon the forces of creativity, courage, and conviction. The man who imagines with discipline sees opportunities where others see emptiness. Controlled imagination is not idle dreaming, it is purposeful vision directed by will. It allows you to live twice, once in thought and once in reality. Without imagination, progress stalls. Without control, imagination wastes its fire. The mastery of imagination is the mastery of creation itself. Controlled imagination is the architect of invention, drafting blueprints long before tools touch stone. Every bridge, every machine, every empire was first constructed in the mind of a dreamer. The difference between idle fantasy and purposeful vision is discipline. The undisciplined imagination wanders, but the controlled imagination focuses like a beam of light. This focused vision becomes a magnet, pulling ideas, resources, and people into alignment. When the mind holds a picture with clarity, the world begins to shape itself around that picture. Controlled imagination is faith in motion, for it sees the unseen and calls it into being. The man who sees clearly in his mind walks with certainty through the fog of life. Imagination without control is daydream. Imagination with control is destiny. Guard your vision, for it is the seed of every reality you will one day touch. Imagination is the canvas upon which the mind paints its masterpiece. Those who dare to see with clarity within will one day see with triumph without. Every building, every book, every symphony lived first as a vision in someone's mind. Controlled imagination gives direction to this inner vision, turning vague ideas into definite plans. A man who disciplines his imagination can shape his future as a sculptor shapes stone. The sculptor sees the statue before the marble is touched, and his vision guides his every strike. So too does controlled imagination allow you to chip away distractions until destiny is revealed. To envision is to empower. To control vision is to command reality. Without control, imagination dissipates like smoke. With control, it burns like fire. The disciplined imagination is the birthright of every great achiever. Controlled imagination is the rehearsal of destiny before the performance of life. It allows you to see success so vividly that you begin to move as though it were already yours. The mind trained in vision is never surprised by victory, for it has walked there many times before in thought. This mental rehearsal builds confidence, focus, and persistence. Athletes, leaders, and creators alike rely on the power of vision to strengthen their resolve. They win first in the arena of imagination before they win in the arena of reality. The man without vision stumbles in confusion, but the man with controlled imagination walks with certainty. Vision clears the fog of doubt and lights the path of progress. The greatest victories are not born of chance, but of minds that dared to see them first. Master your imagination, and you master your future. Controlled imagination transforms limitations into possibilities. It allows you to see not what is, but what can be, and to move toward it with confidence. The man who only sees reality remains bound by it, but the man who envisions beyond reality transcends it. Every breakthrough in history began with someone daring to imagine a better way. The light bulb, the airplane, the cures for disease, all were once visions in the mind of a dreamer. What others mocked as fantasy, controlled imagination proved as fact. The undisciplined dismiss imagination as play, but the wise know it is the workshop of progress. Through vision, the impossible becomes inevitable. To imagine with control is to walk ahead of your time, building tomorrow in the silence of today. Never neglect imagination, for it is the tool by which the unseen becomes seen. Controlled imagination is the inner architect that drafts the blueprints of destiny. Before a man can build with his hands, he must first build with his mind. The picture he holds within becomes the foundation upon which his future stands. Imagination without discipline drifts into idle fantasy, but disciplined vision forges empires. The man who imagines with control is already halfway to victory. For what the mind rehearses with conviction, the body eventually performs with power. Vision becomes the silent teacher, instructing action long before action is taken. Controlled imagination gives courage, for it shows the end result before the struggle begins. The soldier who sees victory in his mind fights with unshakable strength. The builder who sees the city in his vision lays bricks with relentless confidence. Controlled imagination is the lens that magnifies possibility until it becomes undeniable. It sharpens focus, allowing you to see the hidden paths others overlook. Where most see only obstacles, the visionary sees stepping stones. Imagination disciplined by will becomes prophecy fulfilled by action. The man who imagines with purpose carries within him the future before the world beholds it. His vision gives him strength when others grow weary and direction when others lose their way. Controlled imagination is not escapism, it is creation. It is the power to design tomorrow while others complain about today. When directed with clarity, imagination becomes a compass pointing to destiny. Guard your vision, for it is the map that guides your every step. Controlled imagination is the seed of innovation planted deep within the fertile soil of the mind. It gives birth to ideas that change industries, communities, and civilizations. Without vision, progress halts. With vision, even the impossible becomes ordinary. Every masterpiece begins twice. Once in thought, once in reality. The man who dares to envision boldly lives ahead of his generation. Though mocked at first, he is honored at last, for his imagination builds what others said could not be built. Controlled imagination demands discipline, for without control, ideas scatter like leaves in the wind. With control, they align like soldiers marching toward a common goal. This alignment of thought channels energy into creation. What begins as vision when guarded with control ends as victory. Controlled imagination is the rehearsal hall of greatness, where future victories are practiced in silence. It allows the mind to walk the path of triumph long before the feet take the journey. This mental preparation builds courage, for the battle feels familiar when the vision has already been lived within. The man who holds a clear vision cannot be swayed by the doubts of the crowd. He has seen too much in the theater of his mind to be shaken by the noise of others. Vision gives him a secret confidence, a quiet assurance that sustains him when progress seems slow. Imagination without control is a wandering flame, but with control it becomes a guiding torch. That torch lights the way through darkness, revealing paths unseen by the fearful. The dreamer drifts, but the visionary directs. Master imagination, and you command the very blueprint of destiny. Controlled imagination is the key that unlocks hidden treasures of the mind. It reveals possibilities buried deep within the soul, waiting for belief and action to call them forth. The man who trains his imagination is never poor, for his wealth begins in vision. Poverty of thought creates poverty of life, but richness of imagination creates abundance. The world belongs to those who dare to see it not as it is, but as it could be. The visionary lives in tomorrow, while others remain trapped in yesterday. Controlled imagination is the secret ally of persistence, for vision fuels endurance. When the road is long, imagination shows the reward waiting at the end. It gives the weary a reason to continue and the doubtful a reason to believe. Guard your imagination, for it is the treasury of your destiny. Controlled imagination is the crown of creation, the birthplace of every triumph. It allows man to partner with destiny, shaping the unseen into the seen. Without it, purpose loses vision, discipline loses direction, and persistence loses fuel. With it, every principle unites to build a life of power and meaning. The man who masters imagination holds tomorrow in his hands today. His vision outlives him, inspiring generations yet unborn. This is the mastery of imagination, to dream with control, to envision with clarity, to create with certainty. See it within until the world cannot help but see it without. For imagination is the spark, and controlled imagination is the flame that lights eternity. This is the final mastery, the command of vision that shapes reality itself. You have now walked through the 7 great principles of mastery. Purpose gave you direction, discipline gave you strength, initiative set you in motion, and faith lifted your spirit. Persistence taught you to endure, decision gave you power, and imagination crowned you with vision. These are not mere ideas, they are living laws, waiting to be applied each day of your life. The man who seizes them will rise, no matter his beginnings. The one who neglects them will drift, no matter his talent. For greatness is never an accident, it is the result of principles lived with courage. Fix your purpose, master yourself, take bold action, believe without wavering, endure without quitting, decide with conviction, and envision with control. Do this and life itself will bow before you. The world has always yielded to those who dared to master these eternal truths. Now it is your turn. Walk boldly, for destiny waits for no man.